Good morning, and welcome to another ironic introduction to another video. Today, this video is actually going to be a little hypocritical because what I really want to stress is don't engage in burnout grinding. Do not engage in a behavior or set an expectation for yourself that will cause you to burn out. The last thing you want to do is start up a new game and set this unreasonable grinding expectation for yourself where let's say there's a beginner and an intermediate bracket where you can get characters easily because you've been playing for less than 60 days. Don't set this unreasonable standard for yourself where you get those characters every single time for those 60 days just because you feel like you have the best opportunity to do so. And I say that because even right now, I find myself unable to stop grinding even though I'm exhausted. I've worked back-to-back overtime shifts. I know that the amount of sleep I get today will be reduced. I know that I'm going to have to work tomorrow and most likely have to work overtime, as well as I have a busy weekend for myself, keeping in mind that my weekend is abnormal. And yet I still find myself unable to finish grinding. I have to do my refresh. I have to start set up on my next rotation in the arena. I have to put myself in a good spot. And it's so bad to the point where if I wake up for some reason in the middle of sleep, which is very common for me because I sleep during the day, I find myself rolling out of bed and doing a rotation, which is 25 to 30 minutes for me, and then going back to sleep, which means that periodically, I think yesterday while I was sleeping, I did 2 rotations. So that's, an hour of sleep that I didn't get because I, couldn't help myself. And I call this burnout behavior. And when you're grinding a game to the point where you're affecting your sleep and you are, making poor decisions like I am right now, you're just asking for yourself to burn out. And to an extent, I know I'm capable of handling it. I played another gacha game, Grand Blue Fantasy, for a year and a half, and people in my crew, they said, be careful, you're going to burn out. And they're not wrong. I definitely had a period of times where I burned out, but I also know that when I have this clear and strong progression goal right in front of me, it's really hard for me to walk away from it. And so that's the trouble I am. And I honestly just can't wait until I'm done with my intermediate bracket so I can just kind of take a break. I get this feeling that as soon as I'm done with my 60 days in the intermediate bracket, that I'll probably back off the arena for a solid week at least. It depends on who's in the arena at the time, right? Maybe there's just something too shiny for me to walk away from. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is, if you're not like me, if you're not used to grinding gacha games like this / putting in hours and hours and hours of time in, don't be afraid to say, I don't need to get that character. Don't be afraid of saying, yes, that would be good for my progression. That would be good for me as a player, but I don't need it, right? And recognizing that it's better that you preserve yourself for the long-term investment in the game rather than force yourself to put those hours in and then burn out and then end up not playing. I see it. I've actually seen it a lot in Alliance members where I'll get this new Alliance member because I've been kind of removing people from the Alliance once I see they've been inactive for several days, because I take it that they're probably not coming back, especially with newer players. They kind of skyrocket up, and then if they stop playing for several days, you get the sense that they probably are done with the game. So I see these players come in, and they're like me. They're logging in 60, 70 fights every 2 hours. They're repeatedly doing it. They're getting every rotation in. And it's exciting for me. I'm like, oh, great, another person like me. And then 3 days later, I see they don't play anymore, and I'm like, oh, okay, so they've just been inactive for a day, not a big deal. And then 3 days later, they're still inactive, and I'm like, oh, this person burned out. And that's unfortunate, but you should really take a moment to just kind of gauge what you're capable of, decide what is a comfortable level for you, and then do that. And if every once in a while you're like, man, I really, really want this character, I really, really, really wanted Ronin. I know I've been grinding arena a lot right now, but you gotta understand that right now I'm sleeping. For the Ronin arena, the way I got the amount of points that I did is I legitimately set a 2-hour alarm for 20 hours out of the day, and I did that for 6 days. I did have that 1 day break in between, which is a blessing because I slept for 11 hours. But you got to understand, for those 6 days, I did not sleep. It was just crazy. I in my time off, I would wake up, grind the arena, you know, do that for an hour and a half, sleep for half an hour, wake up and do it again. And so that being said, you know, doing that every once in a while, that's okay, right? If you're like, this is my favorite character in the MCU, I really want this character, totally. I totally support that. I love it. I like that hype. Ronan was super cool. He's a playstyle I really love, and that's why I loved him so much. I'm not going to go as hard for Call Obsidian. Like, if I get him with my current grinding strategy, great. If I don't, then, you know, I know he's super OP. I'm just not worried because I don't see myself playing him a lot to begin with. But that said, you know, just be careful out there. You know, don't make the mistakes that I'm making right now is what I'm trying to say. Be careful. Other than that, I'll talk to you later.